I'd like to, first of all, welcome everyone for joining in this practice and reading that was advised by Geshe, our resident teacher at the Kadampa Center. We're so fortunate to have Geshe as one of our resident teachers, and so fortunate that we have the Kadampa Center who is hosting this meeting tonight, this teaching tonight. So let's begin by setting our motivation for doing the practice today. So that all sentient beings may meet without resistance, understand without resistance, remember without resistance, practice and realize without resistance the perfect and pure and complete teachings of Lamrim Tsongkhapa in this life and all our future lives. May we and all sentient beings have lives full of harmony, loving kindness, bodhicitta, and realize emptiness in and out of meditative equipoise. And when they pass away from this life, may they be born on a lotus with qualities complete, become special disciple of the Buddha, who's ever a Buddha field, pure land that you'll be born in. And of course, meet their teachings without resistance, to remember them and realize them, and remain in those Buddha fields where the Buddha is teaching until they attain their own Buddhahood. And so take a moment for you to set your own motivation. Okay, so now we're going to start with some an abbreviated version of the preliminary prayers as indicated by Geshe last week. So let's say the refuge and bodhicitta prayer three times. I go for refuge until I'm enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Supreme Assembly. By the merit I create through listening to the Dharma, may I become a Buddha in order to benefit all sentient beings. I go for refuge until I'm enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Supreme Assembly. By the merit I create through listening to the Dharma, may I become a Buddha in order to benefit all sentient beings. I go for refuge until I'm enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Supreme Assembly. By the merit I create through listening to the Dharma, may I become a Buddha in order to benefit all sentient beings. This ground anointed with perfume, strewn with flowers, adorneth Mount Meru, four continents, the sun and the moon. I imagine this is a Buddha field and offering. May all living beings enjoy this pure land. O holy and perfect pure Lama, from the clouds of compassion that form in the skies of your Dharmakaya wisdom, please release a rain of vast and profound Dharma, precisely in accordance with the needs of those to be trained. Idam Guru Ratam Mandalakam Niryatayami. Okay, so I'm going to stop sharing. And I'm going to begin reading the text, Essence of Vast and Profound. And I'm beginning on the bottom of page 78, where I stopped. How to Teach the Dharma has four sections. 1, contemplating the benefits of teaching the Dharma. 2, cultivating respect for the Dharma and its teacher. 3, an explanation of what type of thought and behavior you should have when explaining the Dharma. 4, making a distinction between who should and should not be taught. Contemplating the benefits of teaching the Dharma. Although a simple teacher may be doing as little as instructing his or her students in reading texts, he or she is teaching the Dharma, so we should contemplate the benefits. Also, when teaching the Dharma, there are great faults that we incur from the afflictive emotions, such as thoughts of being respected and venerated, thoughts of being famous, and thoughts of the benefits that will come to us from within our household, that come from studying text and teaching the Dharma. The benefits of explaining Dharma should be contemplated in accordance with the 20 benefits of explaining the Dharma as presented in the Sutra inciting the superior intention. Cultivating respect for the Dharma and its teacher. Set out an excellent teaching throne for the Dharma teacher, and so forth. An explanation of what type of thought and behavior you should have when explaining the Dharma has 2 sections. 1, what type of thoughts you should have. 2, what type of behavior you should have. What types of thoughts you should have. You should adjust your motivation as you make your way from your dwelling to the place where you will be teaching. Prepare by making prostrations and performing the proper visualizations. When you reach the throne, imagine that the lineage gurus dissolve into you. When you sit on the throne, recall impermanence by contemplating that sitting on the teaching throne is only momentary, and recite, as fleeting as a shooting star. Geshe Nugrum stated, I meditate on impermanence before each teaching session and remind myself that I have no experience teaching the Dharma. If you don't contemplate in that way, you will develop pride. Therefore, meditate on impermanence and contemplate bodhicitta. At the very least, once you have sincerely thought them over, you should make a sincere effort for the welfare of others. You should be clean, hygienic, and so forth. And while you are teaching, if you praise yourself and criticize others, it will appear as though you have your own best interests in mind by either directly or indirectly seeking respect and fame. Atisha said in India, they sold their wealth and had much to sell. In Tibet, they sell the Dharma and have much to sell. We must proceed very carefully and examine our innermost thoughts, making a distinction between who should and should not be taught. There are many texts that extensively discuss this point, such as the well-explained reasoning. We should follow the tradition of teaching not through considering the size of the offerings and so forth, but through considering whether or not the recipients are suitable vessels for the Dharma. How to conduct their common ending. Both the Lama and disciple should dedicate their roots of virtue from listening to and explaining the Dharma for complete enlightenment. Day 5. In the Guide to the Bodhisattva's Way of Life, the great Bodhisattva Shantideva proclaimed, this leisure endowment is difficult to acquire. Having attained it, accomplish the aims of beings. If you don't accomplish its benefit in this life, how can you get such a perfect endowment in a future life? As this states, a human life such as this is very difficult to acquire, and we only have it this one time. This life that we have acquired also has great meaning. In dependence upon this life, we are capable of attaining the state of temporary higher status and the ultimate goodness of omniscience. If we don't accomplish that here in this life, we will attain in a future life. Adjust your motivation by thinking, right now, I'm going to listen for the sake of extracting its essence. How to sequentially guide the disciple with the actual instructions. How to sequentially guide the disciple with the actual instructions begins with proper reliance upon the spiritual guide. This is the root of the path and dependence upon which you actually train the mind, and for which there are 2 stages. The phrase from above the sentence that states how to sequentially guide the disciple refers to the commentary itself. Even the mere point in the outline about the root of the path and so forth is of extraordinarily great importance, since every realization from that of the preciousness of our leisure and endowment up to realization of the union of no more learning stems from this. The phrase "in dependence upon" has its source word, which comes from the 30 verses by Vasubandhu. Whatever its origins, all realizations are generated in dependence upon the spiritual guide. How to sequentially guide the disciple with the actual instructions has 2 sections. 1, a slightly elaborate explanation for the sake of attaining certainty. 2, the characteristics of the relying disciple. A slightly elaborate explanation for the sake of attaining certainty. Jetson Kappa stated, a disciple generating a single good quality in his or her mental continuum. He also stated, the foundation of all good qualities is the foremost kind guru, as well as the source of mundane and supramundane virtue and excellence. Geshe Potoak proclaimed, there is nothing more important than a guru for accomplishing liberation. Just as we can't know whether we have erred in our travels for even one day on a roadway if we don't have someone with us who knows the way, so without a guru to guide us to the state of liberation and omniscience, we are like a blind person Therefore, it is extremely important that once we rely properly upon a guru from the beginning, we do so unerringly. The person to follow for that is a fully qualified spiritual guide. When it comes to a guide to liberation and omniscience, if we rely upon any guru that happens to come along, we will be led astray on mistaken paths. Geshe stated, quote, "If a disciple relies upon a lama who drinks alcohol, the disciple will also start drinking alcohol. If a disciple relies upon a good and conscientious lama, the disciple will also become good and conscientious," unquote. There are also numerous teachings about the power of a fully qualified lama who holds each of the 3 sets of vows. The ornament of the Mahayana Sutras declares, quote, "Rely upon a spiritual guide who is subdued, is pacified, is thoroughly pacified, has superior good qualities, is diligent, has a wealth of scriptures, has a realization of suchness, is skilled in speaking, has a compassionate nature, and has abandoned weariness," unquote. Therefore, it is simply not enough to act like a lama without possessing the full qualifications of a lama. Regarding the term subdued, it is not sufficient that a person have a gentle mode of behavior of body and speech. He or she must have subdued his own mind. Although to others on the outside, he may seem to have a peaceful and disciplined manner, if the guru's mind is not disciplined, it will be like teaching beneficial instructions to a leper infested with leprosy. Although there is a tradition of subduing the mind must be subdued through the 3 higher trainings. The term subdued refers to the training in moral discipline. Pacified is concentration. Thoroughly pacified is wisdom. The Vinaya states, quote, "Directing from a constant effort with a bridle of 100 piercing sharp spikes is appropriate for reigning in the horse-like mind. These are the vows of the pratimoksha," unquote. Our mind is similar to an untamed wild horse, and the subduing bridle is the training in the pratimoksha. The thing capable of subduing someone who has come under the influence of the afflictions is also the moral discipline of the pratimoksha. There are various interpretations of 100 spikes in piercing. The first term is understood to be pure as explained in the commentary to the sutra and to mean pacified. Thus, with respect to being properly trained and so forth, this refers to the way of being properly trained in the training of moral discipline. Subduing the horse-like mind through the training and concentration is like the horse remaining happily within its stable. Not only should a spiritual guide be endowed with good qualities of the realization of training and wisdom, but he or she should have good qualities superior to your own. This is also the case for your friends with whom you spend your leisure time, such as your roommates and so forth. The Supreme Seventh Conqueror, that is, the 7th Dalai Lama stated, quote, "The unbearable scent of faults by which we are easily defiled and which are difficult to remove. This comes from the bad activities of immoral friends with whom we associate," unquote. Don Topa proclaimed, quote, "An inferior person who associates with a noble person will not reach beyond the ranks of a middling person. If a superior person associates with an inferior person, he or she will easily become an inferior person," unquote. Previously, there were 2 monks from the region of Tempo, one of whom drank alcohol and the other didn't. The first went to Ratrang and the other went to Lhasa. The one who drank alcohol met the Kadampa Lamas, due to which he quit drinking. The one who didn't drink alcohol met some bad companions, whereby he became a drinker. This example shows that you must be careful about associating with the dogs that are bad friends. Evil friends are like dogs that cause bite wounds to your moral discipline and state of liberation and omniscience. Therefore, you must act with the utmost caution. Instead, rely upon a virtuous teacher with pure moral discipline and supreme wisdom who is endowed with the good qualities of scripture and realization. The sayings of the 4 extremes of the Kadampa states, "I try to emulate those old men of Ratrang." The old men of Ratrang are Tontopa, Rinpoche, and the others. If you don't try to emulate the good qualities of your Lama and companions, you will not have their good qualities either in this life or in future lives. You should look to the biographies of those qualified beings such as Je Tsongkhapa, your own Lama, and so forth, for examples to look up to. With respect to diligent, this means being endowed with the diligence of intense application and the diligence of constant application. The disciple should be subdued to the transmission of the Dharma. Therefore, the Lama must have a wealth of scriptures. When a Mahayana guru explains the Dharma, he should skillfully teach through scriptural reasoning and analogies. Regarding the end of the teaching, you should conclude with advice about the teaching. Regarding realization of the selflessness of phenomena, this is the realization arisen from meditation on the selflessness of phenomena, or alternatively, suchness, and so forth. Regarding this, when the selflessness of persons has been ascertained through one's own power, this means it has arisen from your own contemplations. Reaching a correct assumption by relying upon the Guru's teachings of scripture and realization is through the power of others. Ascertaining an inferential cognition through one's own power of analyzing scripture and realization is from your former higher training in wisdom and not through proclamation. Regarding this, it is a special wisdom of realization that is generated from analyzing any appropriate meaning of the scriptures, such as the unique characteristic of the first of the Four Noble Truths. Regarding this, it is either a direct realization of emptiness or an inferential realization of emptiness in dependence upon the reasoning of dependent arising and so forth. Alternatively, if the Lama hasn't even attained that degree of realization, then he or she must have ascertained a correct assumption of emptiness in dependence upon the transmission of teachings and so forth. At the very least, he should be someone who is skilled in explaining it perfectly to others through scripture and reasoning to develop an unmistaken understanding about the meaning of emptiness in others. Otherwise, he will not know how to guide someone along the complete path. With respect to being skilled in speaking, which causes the meaning to be transmitted into the mind, this means skill in explaining in such a way that it is easy for the disciple to understand. Moreover, with respect to compassionate skill in transmitting to the mind, this means compassion for the disciple. Regarding abandoned weariness, this means being able to withstand the trials of teaching the Dharma. With respect to 5 of the 10 qualities, the last 3 refer to the good quality of caring for your disciples. J. Rinpoche Tsongkhapa stated, of all activities, teaching is the supreme activity. Also, the collection of uplifting sayings states, quote, the Munis do not wash away negative karma with water. They do not dispel the suffering of migrating beings with their hands. They do not transfer their realizations of suchness to others. They liberate migrating beings through teaching the truth of reality, unquote. Regarding the truth of reality, this is the good quality that the Buddha himself attained, which he taught to his disciples. This is the supreme activity of the Buddha. If you combine this with the 4 Noble Truths, the Munis did not dispel with their hands true causal origins that come from true sufferings and true origins. It is not as though they wash away the negative karma of the resultant true suffering, nor do they transfer their good qualities of the path of cessation to the minds of their disciples, and so on. Among the 10 qualifications, the 5 that are most important to possess are 1 to 3, the 3 higher trainings, 4, the realization of suchness, and 5, compassion. With respect to the word converse used by Geshe Ottawa, this is an archaic term. Respect to discussion and loving affection, these are merely names for compassion. With respect to explaining their benefits, the teaching of Gawa Kelsang Gyatso, the 7th Dalai Lama, explained that the benefits of giving follow from faithfully offering tea and so forth to the assembly of Sangha. Although there are various ways in which the holy beings have explained the Dharma, such as skillfully and unskillfully, we should not seek out faults in their presentations, but instead seek out their good explanations of the essential points of practice and so forth. Although Chusang Lama Yeshe Gyasa Rinpoche, Tritsen Khenrab Rangchung, Longdo Rinpoche, and Dorje Chang Kelsang Kedrup were accomplished scholars. They had various ways of teaching, such as gently and roughly, as well as quickly and slowly. Although Tritsen Jangchung Chirpel was also not a skilled speaker, through his discussions with others about the oral lineage, he subdued the mental continuums of them all. He had a bald head and rubbed snot on his head, and much of what he taught was very difficult to understand. According to previous reports, when it comes to a Lama, it is very important that the person you choose to rely upon is fully qualified and is called Lama, because he or she is someone who can guide you along the path to liberation and omniscience. The incomparable Dakpo Laje, that is, Gampopa, also proclaimed, quote, once you have renounced this life, your activities become nothing but dharma. For that, you must come into contact with an infallible guru. You must come into contact with an infallible dharma. If you come into contact with an erroneous guru, then you come into contact with an erroneous dharma, and you will not generate an unmistaken path in your mental continuum. If you don't generate that, then an erroneous result will arise in your mental continuum. Once this happens, you will not become enlightened. Therefore, when you come into contact with an infallible guru, you come into contact with an infallible dharma. Through coming into contact with them, you will generate an infallible path in your mental continuum. By generating that in your mental continuum, an infallible result will arise in your mental continuum, unquote. Although in this day and age, due to the force of the passage of time, it is rare for someone to have a complete set of all the characteristics, it is nevertheless inappropriate to rely upon someone who has either an equal measure of faults and good qualities or a predominance of faults, because a qualified Lama should at least be someone with good qualities that surpass his faults. You should rely on someone who holds the next life as more important than this life. Between the dharma and the mundane holds the dharma as more important, and between self and others holds others as more important. In India, there were traditions such as examining the guru for 12 years. There are charlatans in the extreme border regions who are called lamas. The Pompos and so forth who give empowerments, blessing permissions, and so forth, Shamjangon Tsongkhapa's hearing lineage, are creating the causes for everyone involved, both themselves and others, to go to the lower realms. Although the students are not at fault because they are destitute of dharma, they don't examine the spiritual guide like a thirsty person drinking poisonous water at the moment of death. Once we encounter this sort of thing, if we rely upon such teachers, even the dharma protectors won't know how to help us. In general, a unique characteristic of lamas of either the new or old Kadam is that they should keep their good qualities hidden like a lamp inside a vase and devote themselves to the welfare of migrating beings and the teachings. Otherwise, lamas may be completely deceitful, and although they may profess to work for the welfare of the teachings of living beings, they are in fact great frauds. Therefore, you must examine them carefully. The characteristics of the relying disciple. Regarding the term impartial, this means they are not biased and listen with complete sincerity. The term bias means having attachment to your own system and hatred for the system of others. Once we think my Dharma tradition is best and fall into partiality, the teachings that are being explained will not enter into our minds. Regarding the term wise, this means endowed with the intelligence to distinguish between good and bad. If a disciple is intelligent yet is without wisdom, profound explanations of the oral instruction and so forth will have very little impact, making it very important for them to understand through things such as stories and anecdotes. For example, once when Gyalwa Kelsang Gyatso, the seventh Dalai Lama, was teaching the Dharma, someone said, I learned something new. Lundru Fortress in Pimpo was also known as Maicha Castle. We should not let this sort of thing happen to us. If the students are not diligent, although they may have faith and listen to the Dharma and Lama, his discourses and so forth will be wasted. How the disciple properly relies upon has two sections. One, how to rely through thought. Two, how to rely through action. How to rely through thought has two sections. One, how to apply it to the root of faith. Two, generating devotion by recalling his kindness. How to apply it to the root of faith. In general, faith is the root of all virtuous dharmas. Previously, someone requested of Atisha, give me some teachings, to which he replied, hey, my hearing is good, quite good. My oral instruction is to have faith, faith, faith. This is like the story that because others did not understand the indications that a certain lama was actually a pandita, they called him Konshong Talala, when in fact his name was Konshog Dome. The point is that it is a great fault if you don't have any faith inside. Previously in India, a famine arose in a certain country, and someone named Amma Gemmo recited the mantra of the goddess Chunda as Bale Bule, and so on. Although she pronounced the mantra incorrectly, when Amma cooked stones and ate them to avoid starvation due to her faith in the goddess, she became youthful and vibrant. These sorts of things will happen if you have faith. Also in India, a lama said Mari Ledsa to someone who understood it to be an oral instruction and recited it faithfully, whereby his benefit to others expanded immensely. With respect to common attainments, despite making mistakes in the oral instructions, if you have faith, you will reach attainment. However, for the supreme attainments, you must be unmistaken with respect to the oral instructions. An example of the common attainments is that despite the fact the Siddha Darsha mistakenly recited the mantra of Kilaya as Vajra Kila, also after a competition in miraculous powers, he threw his purva and planted it right into a cliff face. Although there are many objects of faith, such as faith in the Four Noble Truths, cause and effect, and so on, in this case, we're referring to faith in the Guru. If you wonder whether or not the Guru is a Buddha, and then come to the conclusion that he or she is an actual Buddha, you receive the blessing of an actual Buddha through your act of faith. Geshe stated, quote, "The blessings of the Guru are not really great or small. They depend on you," unquote. There was a story of an old woman who had faith in a dog's tooth, whereby it produced relics and so forth. In this case, she received the blessings of an actual tooth of the Buddha. Although the Lama may be an actual Buddha, if you don't have that perception, you will not receive his blessings, as is related in the historical account of Devadatta and the teacher. Dontopa asked Atisha why, despite having so many people practicing meditation, they had not attained any special good qualities, to which Atisha replied, "All of the good qualities of the Mahayana, whether great or small, depend on the Guru. You Tibetans don't perceive your gurus as anything other than ordinary beings. Therefore, how could he develop any good qualities?" And Sapa also proclaimed, quote, "In short, whether great or small realizations come from meditating depends on whether you have great or small faith. Contemplate the good qualities and don't look for faults in the kind Lama, the source of all attainments. Hold this instruction as your main practice. May there be no obstruction to perfecting this sacred oath," unquote. Once you have the perception of your Guru as an actual Buddha, you will receive the blessing of an actual Buddha. Accordingly, the degree to which you have great or middling faith in him as a Shravaka, Pratyeka Buddha, and so on, determines the degree of great or middling blessings. Jikung Jingtem Gompo stated, quote, "If the sun of faith and devotion does not shine on the snow mountain of the Guru's four bodies, the stream of blessings will not emerge. Therefore, put great effort into this mind of faith and devotion," unquote. Although at this point there is usually an outline topic that states Vajradhara said that the Guru is a Buddha, this is not taught in Jetsun Kampo's middle-length treatise on the stage of the path as a method of training. Whether or not you see the Guru as a Buddha depends on your viewpoint. The teacher said that acts such as having contempt for the Tathagata, disparaging him, and so forth, will lead to rebirth in hell as a hungry ghost, and so on. This statement is unmistaken when considering beings such as Devadatta, Shinapshatra, and others who look for faults in the teacher, whereby they perceived him as faulty. For example, when a teacher doesn't sleep most of the night and does recitations, a student who is fond of sleep will see what is actually a good quality as a fault. If a student who is fond of drinking alcohol as a teacher who is fully adorned monk and who drinks alcohol, he will see what is actually a fault as a good quality. Serlingpa held the view of the Chittamatra, that is mind-only school, whereas Atisha held the view of the Madhyamaka, that is middle way. Although the former is lower than the latter, through Atisha's faith, he treated Serlingpa as the most exalted of his gurus, generating devotion by recalling his kindness. Delight and faith are not the same. Faith delights in perceiving the good qualities of the Guru. Devotion for him brings an understanding of modesty from contemplating his kindness, and you act with reverence for the Guru. Therefore, if you generate these two in your mental continuum, it is an individual mental factor. There is a saying that states, the Guru's kindness is greater than even the Buddha. His compassion is greater than all the conquerors. From the perspective of his kindness, the Guru is superior to the Buddha, yet with the perspective of his good qualities, he is not superior to the Buddha. Although someone might say that he possesses good qualities superior to the Buddha, if he were superior to the Buddha would have faults to overcome, so he would have bad karma and would not be a noble being. The way of recalling the Guru's kindness that is presented here has its source in the collection of sutras and is inconceivable. The point in the outline about the Lama's kindness being superior to that of the Buddha is explained in the section on training. Regarding this point, Geshe Shemawa, and others were unable to cope with memorizing the verses recalling his kindness, but found that if they could remember them by reciting Pago Rinpoche's verse for recalling the Guru's kindness from the essence of nectar stages the path, it became extremely clear for them. Whether or not you recite these verses, be sure to recall the kindness of the Gurus who taught you the alphabet, and those who gave you vows, empowerments, commentaries, and so on. Atisha the Great would make such proclamations as, I have no good qualities. They are this lamas, and they are that lamas, and they are like wet nurses feeding us the milk of good qualities. The above verse is from Sudanam, recalling the kindness of his spiritual guide, the meaning of which is clearly explained in the notes on the 8 great commentaries on the Lamrim. Okay, so it's 7:31, and I'm starting a new section. See how to rely upon your guru through action. Just keep venerate your guru with a material belongings, service, and practice. These 3 ways of venerating your guru are the supreme, middling, and least. To indicate the best way of relying upon him or her when you are together with your guru, you should not seek out some other visualization for your guru yoga. Do not go to the guru if you have the wish to listen to the Dharma, but don't have any idea of relying upon him as a guru. And if you also don't have any idea of listening to the Dharma as it is in the monastery rules, the Poshada Confessional Sutra, and the recitation lessons, do not go to the guru.
Geshe Gelek is here.
Thank you.
Please have a seat. Oh, yeah, good evening.
Yes, sir.
Chukila, how are you?
Thank you, Geshe. I'm doing okay today. Thank you.
You've been sick like last few days?
Last week.
Today? So how many pages you read today?
Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. About 14,
Oh, that's good. So
15. Yeah.
you minimize the prayer?
Yes, I did.
Today? Any questions?
There are no questions in the chat right now, Geshe.
Oh, so that means everything understood clearly. So then where you are, Samula, where you are?
Let's see. On day 5, let's see. How to rely on the guru through action. We're about 2/3 of the way.
So so in education, in education, not just like. So the Lamrim, the teaching Lamrim. So most of you know begin with like Guru devotions. So we like when it comes down on education, we do rely on, not just rely, we rely heavily on teachers. In the school, in the university, in the workplace, that that we need to learn. So that's why we rely on someone who know how to explain, how to teach. Like goldsmith, carpenter, electricians, plumbing work, all kind of like everything has to learn. So in order to learn, that has to be someone else has to teach you. So and there's like qualifications to. It's not good enough just to say I can teach. It's not that simple saying that's not good enough. So and the best. If you know how to do, if you have experience about the very knowledge that you are trying to teach, so that's the best because you have experience. So in this, like if you read like 14 page, this is probably explaining importance of the teacher, the importance of teachers, why it's important to have teachers. So then make sure that, sometimes that you may have strong interest and like very strong interest and very strong wish to learn something and put whatever you learn, then really wanting to put that into practice to improve your life. So then, so there's risks that you may, I say, meet someone who's not really qualified to teach. So then for you, it's very important to meet the right person who can guide you on the path that you have so much interest. And it's very important to meet the right person who can guide you on the path. Then while you're on the path, so then helping you, explaining how to learn, how to meditate, how to gain meditative experience, so on and so forth. So therefore, in this 14th page you read, it talks about the qualifications, how you can tell whether you are following the right person or the wrong persons. So then that's very much based on the qualifications. I believe there's 10 of them. So probably you read in this page, 10 of them. Otherwise, so in the past, in the histories, like unfortunately, of course, it's all something to do with the karma, but unfortunately, you made the wrong guide, leading on the wrong path, so believing something that's not really, it's almost like blind leading blind. So then, so this all can be prevented if you learn what are these 10 qualifications so that qualify to explain the path and explain the Lamrim teachings. If not all of them, one individual person possessing all of them is kind of difficult, but it's not impossible. but it's difficult. But there are certain qualifications, it's important, like among those 10 qualifications, some of them important. The person needs to be a very compassionate one. Then, of course, there's ethics, important one. Ethics is the important one. The person needs to be ethical, ethical. So then, of course, you have to have more knowledge about the subject that he or she is teaching. You have to have more knowledge about you have to have more knowledge about the subject than your students. Otherwise, you can teach. Or like Uttara Tantra composed by Maitreya Buddha, or like Ornament of Mind or Discourse, one of those texts explain this 10 qualifications of the teachers. You remember by heart which text is, Amula? Uttara Tantra or like Ornament of Mind or Discourse?
It says Ornament of the Maya Discourse in the book.
Okay, so then that's the text. There's a text that composed by Maitreya Buddha. So in that text, then the 10 qualifications been explained. So it's very important to learn, make sure that you have so much interest, but make sure that you met the right person who qualified. Make sure that your interest is not going to be waste. So that's very important to prevent. So then there's certain qualifications that you need to possess in order to how to listen Dharma, what kind of mindset you should have in order to get maximum benefit. Maximum benefit. Being biased, that's the one obstacles in order to become the pure vessel for the teachings. So having a biased mindset is not good. Then of course looking down on the very person that he or she is teaching. Then becoming judgmental. So that's not how you listen, particularly the Dharma, Buddha's teaching. So you have to have, it's not just a person who's teaching has to have pure mind. You also need pure mind in order to get the maximum benefit. That's why having a judgmental mind, being critical of the persons, so that then you become like vessel that's like contaminated. Even though somebody pours something that's drinkable, edible, the very person who's pouring there something, maybe putting cheesecake or like chocolate chip cookie from Whole Food, but you can eat because the container is contaminated. So that means you have negative mindset when you are listening to Dharma. So that symbolizes container that's contaminated. So then while you are listening, they're wandering, So then there's like the container that's like pot that's upside down. Even some person is pouring something, it doesn't go inside because pot is upside down. It's like being there, but mind is like wandering. So like that. So then not listening with attention, not paying attention, then it's like leaky pot. You can put something, but it's going inside, but it's not staying there. It's like going out because this pot has hole. It's going something here, probably not going down, it's probably going here. These are the three faults, listening teachings. So these are the qualifications. So these are the more important to keep in mind how someone qualifies. Even though it takes you to 12 hours to find the right person, it's okay. You can take your time. You don't need to rush. Finding a guru should not be like throwing a piece of meat in front of the dog. The dog will eat without thinking, like that. So finding spiritual guide or teacher or guru should not be like that. You should not like that. Even though it takes 12 years, you should take your time. Take your time. So then, like all the spiritual knowledge will grow relying on that person's healthy relationship with that person is become important for your spiritual growth. So that pure devotion between you and your teacher is important in order to you to get maximum benefit. Not just that, also gain realization, spiritual meditative experience, all of that. That person may have some experience to share. So that experience you are not going to find a book. Just reading a book, you are not going to get that. That's like more like I say, experience, sharing experience. If that Lama was qualified, maybe that Lama has some experience about the subject, the various subject you have a lot of interest to learn. So that also helps while you are walking on the path, some experience, it varies based on the topic. So now how to what kind of mindset you should have towards person that you voluntarily, deliberately accept as your guru. Nobody forces you. Nobody forces you. Even though it takes 12 years to accept that person as your guru, we have all the right to take that much time. After that, when you accept him or her deliberately as your guru, so then what kind of mindset you should have towards that person in order to get maximum benefit, particularly for spiritual growth. So then how to maintain that, to critical devotions, mentally, physically, probably physically. These are important. When it comes down on liberations, Buddhahood. So these relationships play a very important role on your own spiritual growth. You get more benefit than the person whom you accept as your teacher. That person does not get much benefit, but you get maximum benefit. That relationship can be continued. Even the Lama passed away many years ago. That relationship could be, mentally, that relationship could be very much alive. Very much alive. Even though your Lamas passed away many years ago, so that relationship based on the recalling the kindness, knowledge that you receive from that person. So based on that, so that relationship can be continued life after life, even this life. Or then you may see that person in your dream frequently. Then it's very, very possible you may receive some teachings in the dream. Very possible, very possible. You are reading something that you couldn't understand, it's so difficult, you couldn't understand, you tried so much, maybe answer could be, you could get answer in dream through your Lama, one of your Lamas, provide the answer. It's not best way to see Lama, but so that then maybe if you got if the devotion is very strong, then you may have visions of that Lama, not just seeing the dream, but you could have visions of that Lama. so then receiving teaching guidance. Then better than that, maybe then you could see, like us, could see like this. That's the best. Right now, when you know nothing, the Lama is the one who helps you, who's helping you who's helping to teach you and explain you. Even though there's a Manjushri, Chenresi, Taras, all of that, you can see them. You cannot see. Only person that you can see is your teacher. You can see. So then they teach, then you put into practice. Then you reach like a little bit higher level. Then you may start to have vision of Tara and all these different deities. When you are desperate, you don't see them. Whom you see, your Lama is the only one you see. And when you are better up, much better up, when you reach a high level of realization, then you start to see them. But when you are desperate, you don't see them. You don't see them. Therefore, compared to deities, Lama is the most important thing. So then when it's like a spiritual field, that you are like baby, you know nothing. Lama is the one who teach you, explain you, guide you, all of that. So then you effort, then you practice, then you reach high kind of like higher mental state. So then you may start to see Buddhas and the Bodhisattvas, and also Lama is much more kinder than that. It's there right from the beginning, and it is there when you even achieve high realization. Lama is still there. So it's important. So that's what I'm saying is like you can keep that relationship very much alive. Even the Lama passed away many years ago. For you, that relationship is very much alive. So then it's still benefiting you, So then maybe there is like a possibility that you may be born in the realm where Lama is still receiving teaching or teaching Dharma, such as Lama Tsongkhapa in Tushita realm. So you may have chance to go there, then continue to receive teaching directly from Lama Tsongkhapa, Lama Atisha, all of that. So then if you know how to maintain that relationship or devotions, while you are alive, so there is a way to maintain that, what's called practice called Guru Yoga practice, Guru Yoga. That's the practice that kind of maintain that relationship. So now see, it's kind of important. It's very important for your spiritual growth. Therefore, it's important, even if it takes 12 years, you to find the right teacher. It's very important because it's all about your spiritual growth. So should not be like that, like piece of meat thrown in front of the dog without kicking it. Should not be like that. Okay. To prevent what we call in the modern day called cult. So that you can prevent that. Okay. Then what else?
Geshe, there is a question. There's a question now.
Yeah.
The question is, we are told to take our time to carefully check the qualifications of a teacher before absorbing his teachers. While we are taking that time, how do we know what we are learning from the teacher is valid? Isn't there a danger that we're learning something wrong but don't know it? How do we know what is right before we have finished assessing the qualifications over time?
Yeah, so before we met teachers, so we have some clue. So if the person is guiding you on the wrong path or right path. So because we have this marvelous brain, so if the teaching is directly or indirectly causing some unhappiness to other sentient beings, then they need to think twice. before you go deep into that, you need to think twice. And other, all the Lama Tsongkhapa teachings, are pure. So now the question is like, how you know?
Yes, it's,
How you know why you are like looking for teacher? How you know that the teaching there you are receiving is the correct one?
yes, yeah.
If the teaching is about fighting between religious belief, so that's the probably not good one. What do you say? As I said, in the teaching, if there's anything that kind of like cause harm to other sentient beings, probably it's not. You need to think twice. Think twice. No? Yeah, think twice. So then then of course when it comes down to the view, of course the Buddhists don't believe in the creator. Christianity believes in the creator. These are major religious traditions. We have different like philosophical view when it comes down on universe. It's not like one is better than another because there's different philosophical view. Buddhists believe in shunyata, therefore having it's difficult to accept the concept of creator because of teaching of karma and shunyata. Doesn't mean we are better than them, but philosophical view there's differences. But then teaching something that's again that's not very ethical, it's not really moral. Then need to think twice. So and nothing above ethics. Nothing is above ethics. If anybody who become above ethics need to think twice. Anybody who act like they are above ethics, they need to think twice. So I'm not sure. That's only I think. I don't know what else to say. Yeah. So now, Lamala, that's what we should learn, in this. Yeah. But is it easy? It's not easy. The guru devotion practice is not easy because why? Because we are not enlightened. We have views, we have opinions, we judge people, we are egocentric beings. We are egocentric beings. Anything that harms your ego, even in some cases your own teachers, so then we are not like Milarepa. We don't have devotion like Milarepa does. We don't. We have to admit that we don't. So we can pretend that we do, we don't. So therefore it's not easy. It's not practicing guru devotion, not easy, but if you can practice that purely, then you get maximum benefit. Like how is it? According to Shunyata, teaching of Shunyata or emptiness. What is the main problem? Main problem here, like we see things. Is that problems? Now is the question is how we see. This question boils down on that. If seeing is a problem, now question is how you see. So that question leads to the next question, how you see. And not just that, do you believe what you see? If the answer is yes, so then the problem starts from there. It's not just seeing, believing what we see. How we see, first question, how you see. You see something absolute, concrete, inherent. That's how you see. Yeah, that's problem. That's problem. Then top of that, if you believe in that, there's a bigger problem. so then say maybe person that you accept as a lama may say something, then how you see like it's difficult. It's not easy. It's difficult, but it never become easier if we don't practice. It never become easier. So for your own benefit, it's not nothing to do with person who's teaching you. Nothing to do with that. So, and it's in the Lamrim teachings, in the beginning of the Lamrim teaching. Yeah. How we see, not just talk of that, then we believe what we see. Then, create, you could be 100% wrong, but you believe. You could be 100% wrong, but you still believe. So then, then it's like mistaken. Probably nothing good comes out of that. But anyway, so there's a lot of benefit practicing Guru devotions, a lot of benefit. If we do it right, if we do it correctly, so then, a lot of benefit. So you have choice. You have choice before you commit it into that practice. You have choice. Nobody forces you. Nobody forces you. You have choice. When you accept voluntarily, deliberately, before you do that, then you read again and again what kind of practice that involved there. So you have full right to analyze. Okay.
Geshe, there's another question.
Oh,
The question is, can one get enlightened without meeting Lamrim? The text mentioned the danger of being led astray by bonpos. Does this mean that other Buddhist sects are misleading?
maybe I should now run. Maybe it's time to run away. Lamrim, there's the stages of the path that lead to full enlightenment. It doesn't belong to Gelek, it doesn't belong to Kaju, it doesn't belong to Satya, it doesn't belong to Nyingma. That's Buddha's teaching. Stages of the path. How to go from here to all the way to liberation and Buddhahood. It's not Gelek teaching, it's not Kaju teaching, it's not Nyingma Satya teaching. It is Buddha's teaching. There's a Buddhist path. So then any other, who else talk about enlightenment? Who else? Besides Lamrim, anybody else talk about enlightenment? Not the word, not just talk, and the detailed explanation how to achieve. So there's more questions like that. Next Wednesday you are not going to see me again. Let's not talk about misleading. Let's not talk about misleading. Let's not talk about misleading. So we are very much inspired by Bodhisattva path. So we are worried about betterment of every single living being, whether they are Pembo, Christian, Muslim, Jewish, Buddhist, believer, not believer. We are working for betterment of all of them. So let's not talk about misleading. So the Burn is early religions, almost like native religions of Tibet. Way before Buddhists came to Tibet, there's every country has that native religions. It's almost like shamanism. So now modern day Prembo is very much like Buddhism, very much like Buddhism. And early, native like at that times, it benefited people. During that time, it greatly benefited people. And during that era, during that period, the burn benefited those beings, like has received a lot of benefit about this kind of like shamanism, spiritual practice. This a lot of people benefited. Is that Buddhism? No, it's not Buddhism. It's like early Tibetan religion in Tibet called Burn, early religions. It's not Buddhism. It's not Buddhism. If you say Burn is Buddhism, then that's technically it's incorrect. Does that mean you look down on them? No. So you don't, as a Mahayana practitioner, you don't try not to look down on anybody else. You not try not to look down on anybody else. So then, then things evolve. People evolve. More and more people now start to read, think. There's less people are like the long time ago. There's like what do you call like in English, what do you call like what do you call that? Many people can read and write. What do you call?
People who
Literate.
Huh?
Literate. People are literate.
Yeah, people are more literate. People are less literate, more devotions. People are now more literate, less devotions. Long time ago, people are more devotions, more devoted, what they believe in, less literate. So now people are more literate and less devotions. So, so every religion or spiritual practice is benefiting somebody. So therefore, no, it's not probably good to, it's not fair or ethical or moral to say misleading. It's not like it is what it is. So if you consider yourself a Buddhist, so you need to focus on Buddha's teachings. So learn, analyze, think, meditate. So then I think that's all. And that's enough. Today, Lamla, what else? We have still a few minutes, so you continue to read, so then I will look at the Tibetan text, continue to read. Yeah, I already explained importance of this 14th page, what 14th page is talking about, importance of, of teachers. Without teacher, you can learn.
So we're on page 95 in the middle of the paragraph on how to rely upon your guru through action. both the Dharma teacher sitting on a golden throne or a silver throne, and the one in your room sitting on a hairless tan leather seat should be considered equally as gurus. Although you may have a nice way of properly relying upon the Dharma instructor once he sits on a throne, if you don't have a nice way of relying upon the teacher instructing you in texts, you have severed the root of all excellent accumulation of merit. While from the disciple's side, you should be in accordance with the guru devotion of Dontonpa and Geshe Tolungpa from the Lama side, he or she absolutely must not have even the slightest concern for material things. The oral instructions of Geshe Sharawa state, quote, thus between two hypothetical lamas, one who thinks, if disciples don't offer material gifts, my prestige will decline. And who feels, if I have offerings, it will increase my pride. Despite calling them both lama, the former has only his own interests at heart. We use the term lama for someone who is pleased by practice and does not have even the slightest concern for material gifts. Someone who does the opposite of that is not a suitable lama for anyone accomplishing liberation, unquote. These words are extremely to the point. The teaching states a lama striving for material offerings is not a lama, which accords with the teachings of Guntang Jampalyang Marpa Chirki Lodro stated, quote, the great magician never has any wealth whatsoever. The nocturne is my attendant. I am not strict and liberal with the oral instructions. I act according to the holy dharma, unquote. With respect to undertaking the essential practice according to the teachings, delighting your guru with the offering of practice or serving is the best. Milarepa stated, this practice of voluntarily enduring hardship with fortitude is service to delight my fatherly guru. The 50 verses of guru devotion states, quote, that generosity will always become an offering to all the Buddhas. That offering is the accumulation of merit. Through accumulation, you accomplish the supreme attainment of enlightenment, unquote. During a teaching on the way of training, there will also be explanations on the way to rely on not relying and the faults of improperly relying. By virtue of properly relying on the guru, his or her advice does not become a burden, but becomes an ornament. In the same way, others proudly bear the burden of mundane ornaments, such as the numerous adornments of the head disciplinary monk of one of the great monasteries with his padded garment, as well as the male and female householders in the marketplace with their ornate jewelry.
Look at me. What does that mean? What is this?
Let's see,
Only jewel, that means Lama's asking you jewelry?
no, that the, let's see, the, what do you call it? The disciplinarian was wearing padded garment, and that's like householders wearing their jewelry, something like that. Is that right, Shukila?
Yes. Yeah, it's just saying that, you know, the advice, if we properly rely on the guru, then the advice is not a burden, but it's an ornament.
So
Like the way the disciplinarian wears the padded garment or the way that householders wear jewelry.
Padded garment, what is padded garment?
Padded means like thick to protect you. I'm not sure what, I mean, I've not heard of the head disciplinarian wearing a padded garment. I don't know what that means.
It's not that important, so why you need to know? It's not important. We don't have disciplinary here. So I think that's not important. Padded garment, I'm not sure there's like God, where are you? Maybe some people want to know. Maybe I should look at. So where we are, some drinking.
We're maybe 3/4 of the way through day 5.
Tony was on the top, but the 3/4 this. Say 1 second. Isn't the log on?
There's a quote from the 50 Verses of Guru Devotion, and it follows that quote.
Okay, 1 second. Oh God. 50 verses of Guru devotions.
Yes. And then it's the second sentence after that quotation.
I'm almost there, just for this there few minutes. Oh yeah, the. Okay, now finally I saw this. That is the Haza. Lama de Liberty, the man of Mija Pumu Trump the Ginger, so Mount to Taba Tar girls. Lama de Liberty, the man of Kudu Masoma, Gender Jew. You are Soji Shimi, Soji Shimi, Soji Shimi. Oh, both times. So this is what they do now. What is it called in English?
Are you talking about the padded garment?
Yeah, padded. Okay, padded garment. What they do, it is like this is the upper cloth. This one, you see, one I wear. So they put some kind of like inside, make it more looks like this. So no, so that makes you kind of big. So there's no now it is like this. Now you can see it's just going down. So this upper part of the robe made out of brocade, so that it's only happen like during the Melon festival. It doesn't always like this. So then during that time, especially I think like during the prayer festivals, this upper robe is made out of brocade, silk brocade. So then they put some kind of like pad, and make it like more like this. So then when they walk, so now they kind of look. So kurdu mazoma jendo chus So that kind of become like ornament for them. It kind of looks, kind of like looks good, like that. That's what it means. So, so they take that very seriously. Make sure it looks great. So the Guru devotion probably needs to take care of something like that. Okay, like the ornament that people there wear in the town. So that's what it means. So only the Melam festival is not a day-to-day life. That 14-day, 16-day great Melam festivals, then they're discipliners. So then put, so then holding a big, heavy stick. So then they lift up, then they drop on the ground and make kind of noise, kind of warn. If somebody's falling asleep, somebody's chatting. So that's the thing that people should not do during the prayer festival. So when they lift up, they drop, so they make big noise, so then this kind of looks also very big, like this, they also look like that. Okay, so the Guru's devotion should practice like that because they take this very seriously. Today,
A concise way of practicing the preliminary rituals during the meditation session. There is an instruction on how to practice during the meditation session and the post-meditation session. The virtuous actions of an entire human life can be reduced to day and night within a 24-hour period. This can be further reduced into meditation sessions and post-meditation sessions. For the first type of session, there are 1, preparation, 2, actual session, and 3, conclusion. The actual session depends on whether the preparations are brought into the path. Even when it comes to making a cup of tea, you first need to prepare by assembling many good ingredients, tea, butter, and so forth. For that reason, sweep your meditation room and arrange images of enlightened body, speech, and mind. The way the 6 preliminaries are taught in this text, according to the biography of Guru Serlingpa. Next, from Atisha to the new and old Kadampas, it became very widespread.
Yeah, Lama Guru Serlingpa, Lama Serlingpa. Now it turns out that somewhere in Indonesia, before people have no idea, so they just say beyond oceans. So in India, there's a beyond oceans. Now it turns out in some part of like Indonesia, like Sumatra, small island, Sumatra. Turns out that's where Lama Selingba was residing there. So then Lama Atisha is the disciple. So took like 13 months by boat. At that time, there's no engine. Can you imagine? 9 months. It took like 9 months to get there. Then Lama Atisha spent like 12 years with Lama Selingba learning about the meditation on bodhicitta. So even though Lama Selingba has many lamas, whenever Lama Selingba mentions, Lama Atisha mentions Lama Selingba names, he always put his hand together because he generated bodhicitta because of the kindness of Lama Selingba. So he always put, whenever Lama Atisha mentioned Lama Selingba names, then he put his hand together because Lama Selingba helps Lama Atisha how to develop bodhicitta, okay? Also Guru Selingba, same thing, Guru Lama Selingba, this Lama Atisha teacher.
If we combine this with the preliminary ritual from a necklace of the fortunate, the power of its blessing will be unlike anything else, and the welfare of migrating beings will also be vastly increased. The first of the preliminary rituals is sweeping your room, which has its source in the great commentary to the
which we all have problems. Cleaning house, so like I think there's like every practice begin with that, okay, sweeping. Here you don't sweep, you just use vacuum cleaners, much faster and easier.
In the great commentary.
There are also many benefits, so like when people walk in, so they kind of like the environment that you clean kind of please their mind, oh, so clean. So that creates a cause for you to be born in a realm where there's looks very neat and clean, maybe a lot of them in form realm. So there's because there's almost zero dirt, there's no everything clean. Create the cause to be born in higher realms. So then if you clean thinking, it's not just dust that I'm cleaning, it's dust of anger that I have. It's like, it's not just dust, it's dust of anger, it's dust of attachment, it's dust of jealousy that you're cleaning. Then your cleaning become part of practice, okay? Mm. Yeah, if you're having issues with anger or jealousy, attachment, then you are thinking, kind of repeating, oh, I'm cleaning my attachment. I'm cleaning my attachment. It's not just dust, that's my attachment, I'm cleaning. You can do that while you're cleaning the dishes, washing your clothes, then cleaning environment, okay? And then?
It has its source in the great commentary to the Perfection of Wisdom in 8,000 lines, which states the
Yeah, that text composed by Shakyamuni Buddha. It's called Sut. Text that directly composed by Shakyamuni Buddha is called Sutra. Text composed by Indian master doesn't call Sutra. Sutra is the only teaching that composed by historical Buddha himself. And these are called Sutra, that composed by Shakyamuni Buddha for the sake of knowledge. Not every teaching called Sutra. Sutra means the composer is historical Buddha, then that's Sutra. No?
The bodhisattvas sit in their clean abodes in the cross-legged position. If we do things such as a great deal of cleaning, even when a government official is coming to our house, yet we don't sweep our dwelling when we invite the gurus, the Buddhists, and bodhisattvas of the 10 directions.
It doesn't have to be government officials. It could be your friend. It could be your friend or family. It doesn't have to be that dramatic. So it doesn't have to be government official. It could be your family member, your friends. Just example, they just brought it up. Example. Maybe Tibetan people are afraid of government officials. I did before 1959. I'm not sure nowadays. So now there's like the Chinese official, not Tibetan official there. So so Alhamdulillah, now we'll stop here. So it's 8:30. So maybe some of you have to go to work tomorrow. So thank you very much, each and every one of you coming here, studying this text. And I have faith that you'll learn a great deal of history, how Buddha Dharma came to Tibet. And you'll learn a lot of things which will benefit you. Okay, so thank you very much for showing the interest into teachings, and I feel honored to be part of this class. Okay, then have a wonderful night. So we'll do the dedications. Alhamdulillah, we'll do the dedications. As anybody watching on YouTube, and also thank you very much for coming in.
Due to the merits of these virtuous actions, may I quickly attain the state of a Guru Buddha and lead all living beings without exception into that enlightened state. May the supreme jewel bodhicitta that has not arisen arise and grow, and may that which has arisen not diminish, but increase more and more. Just as the brave Manjushri and Samantabhadra II realize things as they are, I do dedicate all these merits in best way, that I may follow their perfect example. I dedicate all these roots of virtue with the dedication praise of the best by the victorious ones thus gone of the 3 times, so I might perform good works. I dedicate whatever virtues I have ever collected for the benefit of the teachings and of all sentient beings, in particular for the essential teachings of perfect pure Losangdrapa to shine forever. Now the short long life prayers, first for His Holiness the Dalai Lama. In the land encircled by snow mountains, You are the source of all happiness and good. All-powerful Chen Reizei Tenzin Gyatso, please remain until samsara end. And for Sarah J. Khenso Rinpoche Jitsun Lo Sandela, the one who mastered his speech at a very young age, the one with great patience who received the name Avatare, the one with great precision who spread the teaching Amotso Kapan Lama, ornament of the yellow hat tradition, please remain until samsara ends. And for Lama Zopa Rinpoche, you will pull the subdurers more away, who serve as the bountiful bearer of all, sustaining, preserving, and spreading Manjunath's victorious doctrine, who masterfully accomplished magnificent prayers honoring the three jewels, savor myself and others, your disciples, please live long. Of course, for the long, happy lives of Geshe Gelek and Geshe Sampo. Om Tare Tu Re So. Om Tare Tu Re So. Om Tare Tu Re So Ha. Om Tare Tu Re So Ha. Om Tare Tu Re So. Om Tare Tu Re So Ha. Om Tare Tu Re So Ha.
Oh yeah, thank you so much, and have a wonderful night. Thank you. See you next Wednesday. Okay.
Thank you, Geshe.
Oh, yeah,
Thank you, Geshe.
Thank
Oh,
you,
yeah,
Geshe.
Thank you, Geshe.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
Geshe.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Geshe.